Hello everyone, welcome to the second part of this week's Sabbath School lesson called The Creation, Genesis as a Pillar, Part 2, here in your channel Ministerio Pedro M. If you did not see the first part of this material, in the description of this video I will leave you the link to access it. If you don't want to miss the videos that I will be uploading to this channel, you can also subscribe, give me a like to support this project. And the Sabbath School starts like this. In the previous video, we talked about the atheistic ideas of the physicist Stephen Hawking. In contrast, one of the greatest scientists in the history, Mr. Albert Einstein, wrote an article in the magazine of the New York Times newspaper in November 1930 called Science and Religion, in which among other interesting ideas he said, "Science without religion is lame, religion without science is blind." As he learned more about nature and the wonder of the universe, Mr. Albert could not stop thinking about a God who doesn't play dice. In the book of Psalms, chapter 19, verse 1, the psalmist said, "The heaven declared the glory of God, and the firmament proclaimed the work of his hands." Anyone who details the beauty of the flower, or even the space deep, will immediately notice that there are incomprehensible elements fill us with fascination and perplexity. That is why in the past, human beings worshipped what they did not understand as they were gods. In this sense, God made the decision to manifest himself through the scriptures and make us understand that everything seeming to us to be a God existed because of his magnificence, and that in reality it was a simple creation that manifested the power of the one God. However, the curiosity of the human being led him to go beyond the explanation described in the scriptures, which inevitably led him to move away from the Bible completely, which will surely lead him to his own end in the future. This week we study a flat land, creation in other cultures, creation and idols, a young land, creation in the whole Bible, a flat land. What will you think if I say, when she arrived, the room lights up?
Hi Daddy, what are you doing?
Or maybe I just want to say that I am glad because someone is coming. What will you think if I said, oh, that boy has grown up overnight?
Hi Dad, remember I'm coming tomorrow. Hi Dad.
Or I just want to say that he is growing too fast. As the above example represent, many people who make a superficial reading of the Bible take the comments out of its immediate context, thus making the mistake of understanding the figurative language that is used literally. That's why many reading, for example Revelation 7:1, lead them to believe in a flat earth supported by columns and limited by 4 angels. However, the same book that talk about the pillars of the earth tell us that the earth is hanging from the void according to book Job 26:7. We must understand the poetic language in which many of these expressions are used. We know we are the one who's go around. However, we keep talking about a sun that rise and set. We are simply not using a scientific language. Similarly, the Bible makes description in a common language, avoiding the use of scientific words. Creation in other cultures. Genesis chapter 1 and 2 is not the only story of the creation of men that exist. We can also find other stories, such as the manuscript Atrahasis. The Egyptians and the Greeks also had their own stories. They all have similarities with the Genesis narrative. For example, the use of mud, but also great difference. The extra biblical chronicles of the creation. Man is created by selfishness or rivalry between gods, reflecting an idolatrous perversion of the original story. Just as you hear in other tales of human creation, there is an air of selfishness and idolatry. However, in the biblical narrative of this story is totally different. Imagine a creator, an all-powerful God, with the possibility of doing everything by the power of his voice alone. That same God took the time to kneel down take mud from the ground and make a man-shaped doll, and then come up to his nose and lovingly give him the breath of life that made him a living being. He could do it with his voice, but he made a decision to do it with his own hands, simply because he loved us. That is God's love. Only Genesis presents humanity as a result of the act of love by the omnipotent God, performed with a purpose free of selfishness. Creation and idols. As we mentioned at the beginning, human beings in ancient time worshipped that they did not understand. That's why they imagined gods in the stars, on the moon, and even in animals like dogs and cats. In several cultures, the sun and the moon were gods who actively intervened in the creation of the earth and man. For the Egyptian, for example, the sun, Ra, created life. For this reason, the stars were worshipped by almost all ancient peoples. To remove them from any creative power and avoid idolatry, Genesis makes it clear that these were lifeless stars created by God with a specific functions. There are no diverse gods that intervene in creation and deserve our worship. There is no change or whim. Everything was created by one purpose. The God, the Creator, deserves our worship. A John Lamb? I don't know or even have all answers, but I'm sure that the chronology present of the Bible, which help us to understand the age of the planet, is correct. Not only because it's made it through the genealogy, which named an age that span the story of the mankind, from Adam to Abraham, which are contained in the book of Genesis chapter 5 and chapter 11. First Chronicle chapter 1 from verse 1 to 27, and the book of Luke, chapter 3, from verse 23 to 38. Also because by faith, I believe that God, according to the Bible, can do everything without time limits or elements to work and create. Creation in the whole Bible. The creation story is not limited only to the book of Genesis. It is mentioned many times through the scriptures. In the Old Testament, God's creative power is often mentioned. Just in Isaiah, we have more than 10 direct references to God as creator. In the New Testament, both Jesus and the apostles make continuous reference to the first 11 chapters of Genesis. Without the pillar of Genesis, the whole Bible will lose cohesion and reliability. If you are a believer and you are watching this video, the idea is make you understand that you should not allow human hypotheses that can definitely be fightable to distract you from the truth printed in the Word of God. If you are not a believer and you are watching this video, do not use blind reason. Open your heart and I will go to work in your life. Anyway, to believe in evolution or creation, in the same way you need to have faith. Exercise it in the one that gives you the hope of living in a better world. Well, dear friend, this was all for this week. Thank you for sharing with this server, this Sabbath school, through Ministerio Pedro M. Remember to subscribe, give me a like, and share with others so that they also know this beautiful material, and you could give me a support to keep this material going. And remember, as I always say, it's better to die knowing the truth than to live a lie. God bless you.
Probando 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. La cámara, probando la cámara, probando la cámara.
Hola papá, ¿qué haces?
¿Qué